Grammy Foundation. My name is Sean Gray. I'm a senior here at Bayport Blue Point High School. I'd like to introduce you to the rest of my panel. This is Kathryn Sacca. She's also a senior, Matt Dolce, and Channa Amendola. And we are here to interview Mr. James Cottone for the Grammy nomination that he received.
The Grammy Foundation wants to know what has been one of your proudest moments as a teacher here at Bayport Blue Point.
That's a hard one to answer, but I think this school year with all of you, because you've all been around since 8th grade, the first time we sang together as a chamber choir in the winter, when you all came out and you all lined up on the risers, and was basically comprised of the seniors, and you were all like business. Ready to go business. From the kids in 8th grade who were like wrestling in the back, scratching, touching each other. But like to look around and see the faces and to see the business and the we're here to do this was definitely that is one of my, if not the proudest moments. And that's why sometimes when I conduct, I can't look up because I get so like, it's my kids.
So what were one of your most significant challenges and how have you addressed it?
Okay, so a significant challenge here, my dear, is how do you blend the sheer number of students that are now involved in chorus? When I got here it was 68, and now it's 254. But how do you mix this, like there are kids here who like to sing, and there are kids here who die to sing. And how do you mix the fact that not everybody wants to slit their wrists open in order to sing, but they still want to be in the room to enjoy themselves? How do you blend all these many personalities together without anybody feeling alienated? That is definitely a significant challenge of having the valedictorian in a room and a kid who is struggling with basic literacy in one room, is to make everybody feel like for these 42 minutes, we all have one common goal and we can all achieve it regardless of whether or not we're going to AP Calculus next. And also, not having that moment where the kids who are going off to All-State and All-Eastern and All-County feel like they're better than the kids who are not interested in that. Because it is possible to still be interested in expressing yourself and not wanting those particular things as well.
Another question we have for you is, what unique, innovative teaching methodologies do you implement in your classroom?
Okay, so I don't believe in everything has to be like militaristic. So we've done improvisation on Fridays in order to get people out of just sitting in the chair and like let the minutes pass until we go, to get everybody in the room on the same page that we enjoy ourselves here as well as do work. Also, that improvisation stuff that we do brings people, because they're using themselves, a little bit more out of who they were regularly, and out of, by the way, do what I say because I say so. Out of the teacher is in charge, this is what's on the page, now we do what's on the page. It brings creativity in the room and a comfort level. Also, the karaoke Fridays, because how many people did we discover have really amazing voices and huge talents? Quite a few. And how many people are actually going to be quite good DJs when they're older? Because it mixes more things than just, okay, sopranos, it's your turn. And it needs to have that element. Otherwise, how else would we discover what's going on inside? How would I have discovered Ariana if this didn't happen? Carrie White is another one. There's a bunch of them. Sarah Curry. There's a bunch of them we were all like, what? And that's definitely unique to us.
Now, Mr. Cottone, can you explain some other ways you have made and continue to make a positive impact as a music teacher?
Well, I think part of my job here at Bayport, which I kind of take seriously, is even the friends of kids who are in chorus, I want them to like recognize my face. Not because I feel like being the most famous teacher in the building, but I am. But it's because I just like the way to build community is to not be segregationistic about it. So it doesn't matter if you're in chorus, we're still all in one building together. So many kids come into the room that I don't know who are like, hey. And so part of my job is to keep the door open, as opposed to like, well, you're not registered for chorus, I really have nothing for you. Does that make sense?
Makes plenty of sense.
That's my thing, is I don't like the idea that in this room, elitism happens, because elitism is a myth.
The Grammy Foundation wants to know how you are making a measurable difference in the lives of your students.
Okay, so a measurable difference in the lives of my students. I think most kids who go through our program here, through the choral program, will go on and not be afraid to join the choral program at the next level of education, the larger ensembles. I think kids coming through the door and going through the program will feel more open to, in this room, it is okay for us to discuss things. Not necessarily that I have to know everybody's secrets, but that when they need me, I am here. And I am not just here for the singing part, that we take care of the person, not just the voice inside the person. And I don't know that I have a measurable way, I don't have a rubric to measure how somebody, when they leave, if they continue singing. And I don't have a rubric that measures, are my students comfortable in the room. What I do have to measure it is that my group only gets bigger as the years go on. It doesn't shrink. And the quality of our group gets better as the years go on.
And we don't fit on the risers because we're so
And
large.
we don't fit on the rise. And that is a measurable impact.
The Grammy Foundation would also like to know how you are making a significant impact on your school and the surrounding community.
Well, okay, so the impact on the school. When I came here, chorus was 68 kids separated between 2 periods, and I had the 8th grade chorus, which was a full complement of about 70. And when I got here, chorus was pretty much
Not taken seriously.
not taken seriously and passed right through. Now, we have flipped the script. We have kids who we have an auditioned group that they have to get into, the chamber choir. The numbers have expanded, and also our perception of the chorus amongst the community has changed. Because parents ask me all the time for certain songs they'd love to hear the chorus sing, and I can't wait for this concert, and I can't wait for that. And the big things they can't wait for are the Hallelujah chorus and the Pops concert, which is understandable. It's the best time we all have. But the way we have raised the public image of the chorus is that I get lots of emails all year long, which we can't honor because of the amount of field trips we're allowed to take, of places in the community that want us to come and sing there, which we can't honor because they're all during the school day. But the number every year goes up and up and up and up and up of places in the community that want to have you kids involved in their activities with you kids singing there.
Another question we have for you is, how are you making a significant and lasting contribution to the whole field of music?
Okay, so the whole field of music is part of what I do after the school day. So I teach a course at Hofstra University for emerging music teachers for 2 weeks in the summer. I also do a lot of workshops throughout the school year, not only for all county choruses, but also for teachers. So I think the thing that I bring to the table is I bring a lot of notoriety of having a lot of success with me, with innovative ideas that, let's just say, previous chorus generations would never have done. But I bring with me and say, no, this works. You just have to take a deep breath and try. And I think because here on Long Island, it is a small community, but once you rise to a certain pinnacle in the community, you can say, this will work, just give it time. I can say to not only the next generation of chorus teachers, but to the current chorus teachers, this whole idea of introducing improvisation and giving your kids the stage on a certain couple of days each semester, that works, and give them a chance to show you. Additionally, the idea of having a student conductor, those things, and having the proof of your own group doing it and being successful, start to shift the paradigm away from kids just turning the page in the octavo. Otherwise, chorus doesn't really change with the times, and it should change with the times.
How have you demonstrated a commitment to the broader cause of advocacy for maintaining music education in the schools?
Well, okay, so these are perilous times for anything that's not one of the core subjects. And one of the ways to advocate for a music program is to keep it big, to keep the kids loving it, and to keep the community wanting to see their kids involved in something greater than themselves. So part of keeping the group growing and part of keeping it thriving is making sure your students understand the broader implications of music as a whole. So starting with, how do I fit into this piece? Where did this piece come from? Where did the man or woman who wrote the words and the music come from? How is this any piece of relevance to my life? And if I don't see a relevance to my life, how do I build a bridge to that relevance? How do I care about what I'm doing more than what seems obvious? And the whole perspective of it, seeing it from as many angles as can be explained, helps students realize, oh, this is not just about robotically singing notes and getting through 42 minutes of rehearsal. It's about how do I fit into the next phase of where this piece is going in its existence. Because when we close the music and put it on the shelf, it's quiet. It needs us to bring it to life. And then for us to bring music to life, we have to care to breathe life into it. And then once a community sees its kids, its most precious commodity, breathing life into something bigger than them, they start to get really, really behind the program. And they want to really see the program excel. So I don't worry about the rise of math and science, because we're not about to decline in the face of them. And I think what happens is advocacy happens from a good product. And a good product to me doesn't only mean the right notes and the right rhythms. It means the souls up there on the risers fulfilling their obligation, but wanting to fulfill the obligation.
At what point in your life did you realize that becoming a music teacher was what you wanted to do?
Well, when I made the decision to get my master's degree when I was 30 in education, my parents both reminded me that when I was in high school, that was something I discussed all the time. And then throughout university, throughout conservatory, it sort of got into the back seat of my mind, and performing was really at the front of my mind. And then it started to gnaw away at me that something about my paradigm was incomplete. And when I started to get on this side of my 20s, I realized I should start pursuing a master's degree. And then the obvious thing to me, the thing that felt like this will obviously complete my picture, was of my master's degree in education. Then once I started to do my work in education, I realized that the idea of being a chorus teacher, somehow you had to elevate it from being a prep coverage, where the kids would go to while their other teachers were having their lunch period. That had to change. That chorus is not a prep period. It's not prep coverage. And you have to walk in the door and be the person who proves this is not a prep coverage, this is what we're doing now. And so moving my life from one gear into the other was like a seamless transition, because deep inside me, that had been one of the things I was discussing with my parents all along.
So, Mr. Cottone, I have a question for you. When students come to you needing help with personal problems, how do you conduct yourself?
Okay, so when I first started teaching in a middle school in a different school district than this one, there was a girl, and she was basically the kid who was able to vanish and wanted to vanish. And throughout the first couple of weeks of school, I just kept, every time I went home at night, I kept thinking about her. And I kept thinking like, well, there's gotta be something inherent here that I can do, because this girl is too intent on being invisible. So I made it my job to, every time I saw her, say good morning to her, ask her how she was doing, until she answered. And a lot of times it was just a quick answer, until I finally got her to talk to me. And then through exploration of the student's psyche, I realized it's way too easy for students to just want to be invisible. And then what happens when that student goes invisible? Why is it possible that they made it all these years through public school invisible? And if I'm a teacher and I see that this student wants to be invisible, it is my job to put the music aside for a moment and make them visible, that they know someone sees them. This way she didn't go through all of 8th grade feeling like that year could have gone by and nobody cared. And then what I did, as you four well know, I enlisted the popular kids, who were always in my room no matter what. And I gave them a little life lecture about this is not okay. This girl cannot go through school and be completely invisible. We have to all bring her into the light, not just me. And they got on board, because I was like, listen, this is not all right. I know you've been with her since kindergarten, but this isn't good. It's our job to bring her into the light and make her feel like, at least during these periods, she has friends. And then I realized that that is what's on every student's mind. No matter what their personal problems are, they just want to be visible, or they want to be audible. They want to be seen, and they want to be heard, and they want to be understood. And then I charge myself with that being as important as making sure the music happens.
So are there any opportunities that you've sacrificed to be a chorus teacher or to stay with your students?
So I don't normally think of it as a sacrifice. I think of it as like, this is a teachable moment. The teachable moment in your life is, there will be times, there will be challenges, when what you say to your students is going to be challenged by your behavior, by what you do. And I purposely don't take sick days because I know nothing will get done when I'm gone. I know it will be a study hall period, and that's not the point of it. And if I want my students to take my program seriously, I have to take it seriously. And when there are sacrifices that come along, what do I want my students to remember me by in decades to come when they look back at high school? It would be much more beneficial to me that my students remember that I was a man of my word than a man with a beautiful voice. I'll handle the beautiful voice. And when they think back on what we've done, I don't want to be the teacher who said, this is what you should do, but I'm going to do this. Because then it makes every point I've made seem invalid and vapid. And then at what point do you stop the snowballing of the points you make? Because there's going to be kids in the group who are going to figure out that like, wait, didn't he tell us that we can't do that, but he can? What other things is he contradicting himself about? And you just have to take a deep breath, and what is really most important in life? Because the minutes will go by, the days will go by, but at the end of the day, if it's more important to me to be a man of my word than to be a man who can drop something and go to something else, that's just how I function. I pride loyalty, and loyalty is demonstrated through action, not through what I say.
Does the title as a chorus teacher limit you as a person?
Well, yes and no. The yes part is it limits my time during the day. I have 7:40 to 2:40 where I'm here and my responsibilities are chorally geared. But I think what happens when you're a chorus teacher is most times people just assume that there's just a song in your head and you're just going to give that to the kids and that's all you do. You put together a nice little pretty concert of songs people know and it comes out of your head and everybody thinks that's great. You tickle the ivories and God bless. But what happens is I have to be the person who destroys that limit, who is like, no, I am quite intelligent in other things, not just chorus. I am not limited to certain things, but also I pride myself on being able to have my students teach me things. Now, everyone gets frustrated with me when I don't know the difference between rugby and polo, but I really don't. Just like I'm sure that the people who get frustrated with me that I didn't know the difference between rugby and polo wouldn't know the difference between Mozart and Beethoven. We each have our own strengths, we each have our own weaknesses, and I don't see why I need to be limited with the title teacher and can't also be taught. So I think what is most important, right, especially since I gathered the four of you, right? What's most important is that when life sends the trials down the lane to you, when you look around you, who is standing with you? We all know my mother passed away last year, but when all that went down, it's important that when I turned around, I didn't realize it in the moment, but when I turned around, my students were there at the wake, at the memorial service. And it's indicative of what you do as a teacher when your students want to take their day with Saturday, when they want to take their Saturday and come be by your side. And maybe it doesn't occur to you in the moment, but down the line, weeks and months later, you realize you have made a difference because when stuff goes down in your life that is beyond your students' control, but they want to demonstrate what is within their capacity to control, which is showing you that they care about you and love you, that is when you know you have achieved the goal of a teacher, which is that I am imprinted on these souls. Because when the test came and I turned around, my students were there. My friends and family were there also, but I teach high school far away from where I live, but yet when the test was down, there were my students. And that's one of the things you never forget as a teacher. You do remember the beautiful concerts and you do remember making impacts, but in the moments of your life that are crucial, The people you have imprinted yourself on will appear when you need them. And I didn't realize that at the moment, but now I get it. The imprint is strong, and that's what you want to keep as a teacher. Ding.